Welcome to the real episode 4 of 6460, where I tell you 6 things that I love about Star Trek in celebration of their 60th anniversary. So this week, it's really not exactly 6 for 60, it's 3 and 3 for 60. So you have to do a little math because I would like to talk for just a minute about my 2 favorite guest stars. So, jumping right in, my favorite guest star is Tony Todd. So, uh, probably the smallest role that he played. Well, let me back up a little bit. You all probably know Tony Todd as the Candyman, and he's been in a million other movies as well, but even people who don't follow science fiction or horror anything have still heard about Tony Todd and the Candyman. And he had numerous roles in Trek as well. So one of his smaller roles was the Herosian leader in season 4, episode 16, Prey. I suggest you catch that one. It's a good episode. And then probably my favorite role of Tony's in Star Trek is he portrayed Worf's brother Kern, and he started that in TNG. He was in seasons 3, 4, and 5, multiple episodes, and he carried that also into Deep Space Nine. Now, not only did I love Kern just because Tony Todd portrayed him wonderfully, but because the writers used him to accentuate again a lot of Worf's issues and emotional imbalance that he had being a Klingon raised by humans. Kern was raised by other Klingons. And so he has a lot of respect, as does Worf, for Klingon traditions. But the biggest issue between the two of them is that Kern is bound to follow Worf's lead because he's the elder brother. And this just so many conflicts they had basically from the very moment that Kern met Worf. And I really appreciated the way the writers used them to help Worf to re examine his values and his role in Klingon society. So, thumbs up to Tony Todd as Kern. And probably the role that most Trek fans it will acknowledge him for is as the adult Jake Sisko in the episode The Visitor. That was season 4, episode 2. Now, that was an amazing standalone episode. So, if you are a Trek fan and you are trying to sway some of your family and friends and associates and coworkers and postmen and just random people you meet on the street to the side of the Federation, The Visitor is a great episode to start people with. And again, Tony Todd was just amazing. And in addition to, it was a wonderful story about a son and his father. It really showcases the Federation and their commitment to their members, not whole planets, but to individual members, and just how the DS9 crew rallied around Jake when Sisko disappeared, and even after that, how the Federation supported him in his search for his father. So again, The Visitor, great standalone episode. And while I was looking for photos of Mr. Todd, I came across an interview where he mentioned that he had auditioned for the role of Ben Sisko, something I didn't know, or maybe I knew it at one point and just forgot. But I thought that was kind of crazy. And I started imagining Tony Todd as the emissary. I think he would have done a wonderful job. It would have definitely had a different spin, a different flavor to it, but I think it would have been amazing. Unfortunately, Mr. Todd passed away in 2024, and that's sad just because he's gone, and at, I feel, a relatively young age, but also because Avery Brooks has said he's not coming back for any Deep Space Nine movies or anything else. So I wonder if possibly Tony Todd would have been considered to play Cisco, if they ever got around to doing a DS9 movie. I think that would have been really cool. But, or, they decided to do alternate universe. I think he would have been awesome as well. But anyway, so let me know in the comments how you feel about Tony Todd and who you think they could get to play Cisco if they did decide to do a follow-up movie. That would be, really wonderful. And not AI. Don't AI Avery into the movie, please. But anyway, so my second favorite guest star is Jeffrey Combs. I'm sure everybody already guessed it at this point, just because of who he is in the Trek universe. So I found a joke in the Star Trek Wholesome Posting group on Facebook that kind of sums up his Star Trek career. So it goes, an Andorian, a Ferengi, and a Vorta walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Hi, Jeffrey." Okay, so there we are. I know, bad jokes, bad singing. Not sure why you all are still watching, but thank you. Okay, so my fourth of the 6 for 60 is for Jeffrey Combs in Voyager. And this was just a one episode thing. He called a character called Pink, P-E-N-K. And it's, not really remarkable other than the fact that The Rock was in it. So that's usually why people talk about that episode, not for Jeffrey, but for Dwayne The Rock Johnson. My fifth of my 6 for 60 is when Jeffrey played an Andorian named Shran in multiple episodes of Enterprise. He did a wonderful job, very emotional scenes a lot of times. It showed us conflict with the Vulcans and some of the challenges that Enterprise had to face when meeting new species. I know a lot of people didn't care for Enterprise when it came out, and we're not just talking about people flipping out about the theme song because it had words, because also the TOS theme actually had words. They just didn't use them for the shows, and possibly if I get my nerve back up, I will sing it in an episode. But yeah, so Shran again was great. Jeffrey was an amazing Andorian. But the biggest role, or multiple roles, is for DS9. So Jeffrey was in, and I had to look this up, 32 episodes of DS9. So just the one-off episodes, he played a human police officer, when Cisco was having some people say they were visions, other people say they were alternate realities, whatever. He was going back and forth between maybe I think it was the 1930s on Earth, when he was just a regular human, and the rest of the DS9 crew showed up in various roles as well, and Jeffrey showed up there as a police officer. And in another one-off episode, he was a Ferengi named Krem, C-R-E-M. But his reoccurring roles on DS9, he was a Ferengi named Brunt. And he was a Ferengi government official, and I just felt like his whole entire purpose was just to harass and annoy Quark, because Quark, he had picked up a lot of human traits. He was very compassionate towards the Bajorans and others, and that just worked Brunt's last nerve. Brunt was a Ferengi's Ferengi, and he was absolutely disgusted by Quark and his compassion for his customers and folks that he should have been trying to make the most profit from. But anyway, that was very fun to me. Next, Jeffrey played a Vorta named Weyoun. So if you're not familiar with all of the races on DS9, Vortas are clones that were created by the Dominion, which is a ruling class of shapeshifters in the Gamma Quadrant. And so basically, the Vortas were basically project managers, which tickles me to no end that the Dominion used all of their power and knowledge to create a whole race of project managers. So they managed the Jem'Hadar soldiers, who were also genetically created, no females or anything, and they were just kind of birthed in pods. And it was just hysterical to me that Jeffrey ended up playing, I think we saw him be 4 different Weyouns because they kept dying, and each Weyoun had a different little spin to him. So he didn't play them straight, each one had their own little quirks about them. So Jeffrey Combs was amazing. It was really funny. People just say, oh, if you watch anything Trek related, Jeffrey Combs could just, show up in it. So it's always fun to look at the characters and see who might be Jeffrey Combs. Hey, Jeffrey, this is my show. Okay. Jeffrey can show up in anything Star Trek related. But anyway, I hope you all have a good weekend, a good week. I hope you have some great comments so we can talk about it on Follow Up Friday. And I will see you all next week. Live long and prosper.